we have at Benton Elementary School the highest mobility. I want to say it was 43 or 47% up until just for the first half of this year, which means that 40 something percent of that building has left and is new.
These are students that mobility is students transferring out of the school.
Exactly, and they're transferring
having
to
to
other
start
schools.
over.
Exactly, and then there's about 11% that is students transferring out of the district. But the vast majority of that is students moving from building to building. We did a calculation that if we were able to bring the students just from Benton back to their school from wherever they moved, provided that opportunity and eliminated the mobility issue at Benton, we would reduce the entire district's mobility by 1/18th, which when you're considering that you're having 19 elementary schools and then additional 9 secondary schools, and 1/19th of your mobility issue, 1/18th of your mobility issue is one elementary school, that's a pretty drastic number. That one school is affecting mobility across the district that dramatically. If we can bring, by sharing busing between some of our inner city schools, our schools located towards the center of downtown Columbia, if we can group those busings so that we can bring students back to Benton, to Ridgeway, to Lee, from wherever they travel, and eliminate that mobility, we're hoping that we'll fall in line with what statistics show, that decreasing mobility helps increase student success not only at that school because of the community, but also at the other schools where the students are transferring into, because they're having to rebuild community as well and integrate that new student. So that's just one of the few things. Again, I think the achievement gap is such a massive problem. We could sit here and brainstorm ideas all day. I think those are just a few of the things that are going to help, but this is a community effort. We need to make sure that the community recognizes that the Columbia Public Schools are ready to participate in solving and be at the table at this conversation and then be on the streets working to solve this problem. But we can't do it without the community's involvement, and we want the community to be involved. And that's all of our stakeholders, from our business community to our families, to citizens in Columbia that don't necessarily recognize how important the Columbia Public Schools are to the long-term success of Columbia, Missouri.
You mentioned something interesting, the intervention. There is intervention when it comes to gifted students in the district, targeting them, finding them, pulling them out, and giving them special, really special educational opportunities, which seems terrific. But should those sorts of resources and that kind of attention also be placed, do you think, in a similar way to students that are not performing as well and who arguably could use the intervention more?
Absolutely. We have done that at schools. I think we need to continue to expand those opportunities. I think it maybe looks different than Triple E looks. Triple E is that gifted program. I think it would look different, but I think we need to dedicate, we need to dedicate at least the same number of resources that we're dedicating to programs like that. And we have some of those. Again, it looks different. We're doing it without dedicated funds, or rather with few dedicated funds. But I think you're right. We do need to expand those programs. I mean, I 100% agree that these programs need to continue to expand. It's one of the big keys to closing this gap.
Now, you mentioned, Jonathan, you said it first, resources, funding. Yeah. Budgets are tight for anyone who's been following the news. And KBIA producer Ryan Muelliner talked with a teacher at Jefferson Junior High School who won the National NEA Member Benefits Award recently for teaching excellence. She said funding cuts are causing Columbia students who need the extra services, just really the ones that we're talking about here, to fall behind. She feels like they're falling further behind because there are fewer resources and programs to help them keep up with them. How do you address this?
I think that's exactly right. Our revenues are decreasing. Our revenues are decreasing for multiple reasons. Not only are they decreasing because assessed valuation is stayed flat, but also because people are buying less. We're dealing with a tighter budget. That those taxes, the state taxes, go to come back to us when you purchase something here in Columbia, or when anybody purchases anything in the state of Missouri. That sales tax is a big part of the Columbia Public Schools education, all public school education. Obviously, I'm sure most everyone is aware of the issues at the state level. There's a big issue with funding from them. They have a deficit that they're trying to solve. I think they have opportunities to solve it, but I'm not confident that they're willing to do that. The cigarette tax is one of those taxes. We're the lowest in the nation. We could still be the lowest in the nation and make huge steps towards closing that funding gap at the state level. Also, one big issue we face at the state level is we're not taxing online sales. So folks just go online and purchase things. We get no tax revenue from that. There's an opportunity for us to join a group of states to tax online sales. I think that's a great opportunity. Those are two things that are right off the bat that the state could do to help funding, again, across the state, but it would benefit the Columbia Public Schools. Here locally, we have to deal with that flat property tax, or the flat assessed valuation. We're not seeing increased revenues. We have a little bit of adjustment with Proposition C that allows us to tweak that to keep our revenues equal to what they previously were. We're not increasing when we increase that tax. We're just keeping the amount of money that we're getting from the county equal to what it previously was. So we're not doing less with more. We're doing just the same with the same, or trying to do the same with the same. But that doesn't mean our costs are going down. So all of that, all of those issues from all of those different angles mean that we have to figure out a way to balance our budget. And when we do that, we're making the decisions that are going to least affect our students, that will make sure our students still have the opportunity to be successful. I think there were some redundant programs that were good calls. I know there was a lot of concern over science specialists, but we were investing a lot in science specialists, and we weren't seeing any better science test scores at those grades than any other district. And I think that was a wise call financially on our part. But I think we have cut a lot of intervention specialists and aides in the classrooms. Those are the individuals that we've not filled those positions when they've left, or and in some cases actually had to let go. Those are the positions that are affecting student success, and it's hard to say that this is going to make that student this is going to harm student success when it's something like an aide or like an intervention specialist, because it's not the classroom teacher, it's not some physical thing. It's difficult to say those supplemental and those intervention programs are actually beneficial to student success. I think they are. I think intervention specialists, I think fine art programs, I think practical art programs, I think athletics are not just frippery, but they're actually important parts of a student's experience and success. I would say that all of those programs that I've participated in that weren't reading, writing, mathematics, social studies, those other things that I did as well were just as important to my success as my core curriculum. And I think that as we continue to pare that back, we're going to continue to see students struggle.